Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Your Manchester with me, Miss Belinda Scandal. I'm here in my little love today, everybody. We've got Mark with the cold, we've got Michael that's down at his cheese stall. I'm here on my own, but my oh my, we've got a marvellous show for you. Today we are talking about a bear hunt. We're talking about fantastically wonderful women, and we're also going to be covering the subject of HIV. Like I say, a fantastic show. This is how your show's looking. Well, there's a fantastic show coming to the Lowry from the 5th to the 7th of next month. It is fantastic, and it's aptly named Fantastically Great Women of the World, everybody. And joining us now is Nicola. How are you doing, Nicola? Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good indeed. Now, this is a fantastic story. It's actually made by one of the originators of the families of the suffragette. I mean, that gives you a clue of what we're talking about here. Tell us the story of this.
Sure. So Kate Pankhurst wrote the books based on the series by Kate Pankhurst, who is a direct family relative of Emmeline Pankhurst, the suffragette. And it's a really fun family show where our main central character, Jade, meets 10 fantastic women who, over the course of history, have overcome a lot of challenges and all societal, physical, and the lot, and then all give her lessons and impart lessons for her to take on to her journey to become her a fantastically great woman herself. Some great songs, some great dance numbers, and yeah, it's overall a fantastic piece of theatre, and we're very, very proud of it.
So this has got music in it. It's classed as a musical, but I mean, what songs are we expecting in this? What kind of songs are we expecting in this?
So yes, we have Miranda Cooper, who is our composer. We're expecting really, really strong pop numbers that range from the outside. So we've got pop punk numbers, we've got R&B numbers, we've got rap, we've got basically a lot of musical genres in there, and obviously we have the ballads as well. And finally, a rousing number to bring us all back in. So it's a strong variety and mix of music. Miranda Cooper, I think she wrote music for Girls Aloud, so we're very much back in the pop world.
You're in safe hands then. Now, this, of course, is produced by one of the producers of Six. So, I mean, that gives you a kind of idea of the caliber of show that we're going to be expecting from this. For you being musical director in this and also drummer, how are you enjoying this?
Yes, so I have been attached to the show for 2 years now, and my role is assistant music director, which means I sort of look after the show when my musical director needs to do notes. So when Audra, musical director, is in the auditorium, she'll be making sure the music and the singing is in order, and I'll be sort of helping keeping the quality of the work and filling in a lot of musical other notes. And as a percussionist, that's also super cool. There's a number on it where I come down stage and do a sort of stomp-esque kind of thing. So it's very rousing and it's very participatory. It's my third time doing it, and I love it. I love the show so much. I keep coming back. I think it's a very strong thing for a musician, a performer, to keep coming back to something they love. And I think the show does a lot for me. The show does a lot for a lot of people, and it's a beautiful piece of work.
Of course, like you say, you've been with this now for a good few years, and there must be a reason why you come back. But obviously, what is the reason why audiences should stick with this show and come and watch this show?
Okay, because the show fundamentally is a great time. You have really amazing music, amazing dance numbers, but also it's a family show, but also it's a show that equips everybody with the tools to move forward. And it's feminist, it's uplifting, it's fun, it's also heart-wrenching sometimes, and it really puts into perspective how far we've come and how far there is left to go. I think a lot of shows sometimes just go, oh yeah, this is it, you leave the theatre and you've had a good time. But what Fantastically Great Women Who Changed the World also does is that it does impart lessons to us, I think, as audience members, to leave the theatre and take on the lessons that our main character Jade learns into their everyday lives. And it's not just a show for just young women. I think it's a family show because everybody in society. We all play a huge role in moving us forward. And I think this show does that really well.
Excellent. This is 5th to the 7th of December. A slightly short run, considering it's coming to the Lowry. Is that because you're all over the place, or is it literally just here at the Lowry?
So we're at the Lowry for December, and then we'll be on to other places such as Cardiff and Coventry in early 2024. But I believe I've been in Lowry before, and we were quite well received. So we're just coming back and saying hello again.
It'd be amazing to have you back in Salford. For now, though, thank you so much for your time, Nicola. We're also coming to the Lowry on the 7th of this month for a fantastic month. We're going on a bear hunt, and joining us now is Benedict Hastings, who's playing the aptly named boy within that show. Welcome to the show. How are you, Ben?
Hello, Belinda. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm excited about this one. I really am. It gets you all warm and nice, but it says we're not scared. So tell us perhaps a bit about the premise and the story of this show.
So it's based on the amazing book by Michael Rosen, which is based on a kind of folktale of going on a bear hunt through a few different challenges. So things like grass and a river and some mud. And at every point, it's about people coming together and realizing that they need to go through the thing in order to then find the bear. Lots of silliness and adventure along the way. And then, of course, when we do eventually find the bear, you realise, oh, it's a bear, and it's terrifying. And not to give it too much away, but we realise going on a bear hunt was maybe a silly idea in the first place, but it's still good fun.
So perhaps not as fluffy then as the title might suggest then?
It's fairly fluffy. Again, I don't want to give too much away about the bear himself, but it's it's one of those things of realizing, oh yeah, we're hunting for something that's a bit scary and a bit dangerous. And the beauty of the show is we take people on this journey, and you can feel it in the audience. You know, there's a real sense of peril and of danger, but also real excitement as well. So it's really good fun.
It sounds brilliant. So would you say this is one for the entire family to fully enjoy then?
Absolutely. I've done a fair few kids shows in my time, and this one, I think more than most, people have come out and of all ages have come up to me and said that was just so entertaining. It's great to get whatever age really involved and really entertained. So I think definitely one for whoever you are, wherever your background. Absolutely, come on down. It'll be great fun.
It sounds fantastic. Now, you're playing a character called Boy, simply Boy. Tell us a bit more about your character then. Why has he not got a name, first of all?
Do you know what? I don't actually know. Yes, it's boy, girl, and dad. And then Buddy, the dog, who is this fantastic multi kind of instrumentalist dog that accompanies us on this journey. I think maybe there was just a sense of trying to keep it quite pure in terms of it not being about like where he's from or who he is. Really, it's more kind of the spirit of something quite childish and curious and playful. So yeah, trying to keep it non-distinct, if that makes sense, a bit more kind of pure, really.
Fair enough. Now, people should come and watch this show for what reason?
It is silly, enjoyable, light-hearted, but also really profound play. It's a chance for you to if you have a family, whatever kind of family you've got, to laugh together, to have a load of fun, to get some really good ideas for play and creativity. And also it's just an hour of joy, really. And I think nowadays more than ever, joy is so vital. So come on down and share it with us.
It sounds like this is going to be a good one. We're coming watching this, I do believe, for the press tonight, so I'm quite excited about that. It's profound. It's profound in what way?
Enjoying the beauty of different things and opening up your mind to the to kind of the simplicity of play. I think a lot of the time, I mean, like I said, I've done kids theatre quite a lot, and the thing I love about it is the sense of playfulness, the sense of mischief. The sense of creating things from very little, often, making puppets or characters out of basically nothing, and trying to bring people in I think I love all forms of theatre, but I find theatre can sometimes be a bit serious or a bit exclusive. And I think with this sort of thing, it's more about finding the beauty and the silliness in just getting people in a room and making them laugh and finding out what tickles them, really.
7th of December to the 7th of January. It's going to be fantastic. For now, though, Ben, thanks so much for your time. Well, there are still some issues that we do need to tackle here in Manchester, and one of them is, of course, the LGBT issues that surround our LGBT community. It's a very special week for us this week as well, because it has been HIV testing week. Again, very, very important. To tell us more about that, we are joined now by Reece Boulton. Welcome to the show, Reece. How are you?
Hi, Belinda. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
We're talking about LGBT issues. Is it still so important to talk about them?
Yeah, so it's really important to still talk about LGBTQ concerns, especially in terms of sexual health. Myself, working in sexual health, HIV has never discriminated against certain people. It's always affected people of different backgrounds, but especially from the 80s and 90s, it's really had an impact on the LGBTQ community, and it still has an impact today. People still have anxieties around getting HIV. And some people still don't have the correct education around how it's transmitted, how it's treated, how people live with HIV nowadays, or how to protect against HIV. So one of the biggest ways is obviously using condoms, which you can order from us online, or you can get from our Safer Sex Packs in the Gay Village in Manchester.
A lot of the youngsters these days, they believe now that there's a natural necessity to not get tested. Why is it so important to still get tested?
So first and mostly, the only way to know if you have HIV or if you don't have HIV is to test for it. Along with our physical health and mental health, taking care of our sexual health is also really, really important. And within Manchester, one of the goals is by 2030 to have zero transmissions. Continuing testing is the only way that we can achieve that goal. Additionally, if you are diagnosed with HIV, it's more the treatment is more effective the sooner you're on it. The sooner you can find other people who you might have transmitted to, and the sooner you can reach undetectable status, which is when there's so little HIV in your system that it's actually impossible for you to pass HIV on to anyone else. And testing is easy. So we have our own clinic at the LGBT Foundation that runs twice a week. We also have our online testing kits, which you can order from anywhere in Greater Manchester. And we also provide non-judgmental and holistic advice around people's sexual health and well-being.
Well, of course, this isn't a new issue to us in the LGBT community. This has been going on since the 80s into the 90s. Perhaps tell us a bit about how it impacted people in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, so much like the rest of the UK, there was a big impact in terms of stigma and misinformation. Obviously, a lot of HIV was concerned as a LGBT issue when it, affected people from all walks of life. But not to focus on the negatives of how misinformation and media reporting affected us. But there was a really, really big push for community and peer support. So a lot of organizations, such as organizations like AIDS Line, the Black HIV and AIDS Fund, and Healthy Gay Manchester, did a lot of fundraising, did a lot of community work. And those three organizations exist today as the BHA, George House Trust, and LGBT Foundation. And we all work in a partnership called the Passionate About Sexual Health Partnership. And we work over Greater Manchester and parts of Liverpool as well to support people who are living with HIV or to help educate them and prevent further transmissions. And one of the biggest ways that it's had an impact as well is the fact that we are still needing to do this work. We are still needing to educate people. And it's also really important that we remember the people who unfortunately lost their lives during the 80s and 90s. So every year we have on World AIDS Day, which is this Friday, 1st of December, we have a vigil at Sackville Gardens from 6 p.m. till 7 p.m. And we actually still have a fundraiser in the Eagle Bar in the village from 7 p.m. to continue to raise money and support people living with HIV.
And these days, of course, HIV, how is it kind of perceived by people these days? Is it still as a taboo subject as what it once was?
So in comparison to the 80s and 90s, definitely not. But there is still a lot of stigma for people in regards to how it's transmitted, as well as people living with HIV. So a lot of people aren't aware of undetectable status, which I've talked about before. So basically, undetectable equals untransmittable. If you're on effective treatment, HIV is not detectable in your body, which means it would be really, really hard to transmit that to anybody else as long as you're on good medication. So that's really created like, you know, a sort of healthy living standard for people living with HIV. It's not a death sentence anymore. People can live completely normal, happy, healthy lives, including their sex lives. So yeah, the sort of perception around that has completely changed. But on top of that, obviously, sex education in general isn't great, especially when it comes to specifically LGBTQ plus sex education. So it's really important that we continue to have these messages about the reality of HIV, what it means to live with HIV now, and how you can protect yourself against it. So again, stuff like PrEP and PEP are really, really good preventative medications. They're really, you know, they're free on the NHS, which means there can be less anxiety around HIV transmission. But we also still do encourage people using condoms in tandem with PrEP, just so everyone is keeping safe as possible. And that's actually something that we offer in the village. So at GAY, every second Friday of the month from 1:30 p.m, we have a PrEP initiation where you can also get a full sexual health screening, and then you can get on PrEP yourself, you know, have that extra layer of protection in your sex life.
Just before we let you go today, getting a test for HIV, is it invasive? What does it actually involve?
So HIV tests are really, really simple. So the ones that we offer would be the finger prick test. So it's just a little tiny finger prick on one end of your finger, put a bit of your blood onto this absorbent paper. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You post. So if you get tested with us, we'll post that off to the clinic. If you order a postal clinic, you can do that yourself. And you can always book in with like places like the Northern to get a full screening as well, where they'll do a blood sample, which would either be with a needle. So yeah, if you're scared of needles, I'd recommend you come along to us and get that finger prick test, because it's nice, easy, and it also gives you a space to ask any questions to a person who's also a member of the queer community.
Thank you so much, Reece. The LGBT Foundation doing so many wondrous and fantastic things and keeping the whole of our community very, very safe and looked after. Thank you so much, Reece. Thank you.
Thank you, Belinda.
Well, that's it for this week's show. Join us next week. We are going slightly next week. We are from the Lowry at around about 7 p.m. So make sure you're joining us for that. Till then, though, thanks to each and every one of you for watching this week's episode of Your Manchester.